Hello everybody, and I welcome you on this learning journey. This will be the first of hopefully many episodes of Connect the Dots, a series where every Wednesday I'll be sharing with you a tool, concept, or feature that I've learned in my professional experience or my hobbyism that I thought was kind of cool. To mark the beginning of this long and hopefully happy journey, we'll be taking a look at Python's virtual environment tool. A little bit of preamble: a virtual environment is an independent system that contains packages which may be separate from your package that you have installed on your system, speaking in Python, of course. Now, there could be many reasons for why you would want to create such a thing. Perhaps you're working on a shared system and you don't have the permissions to install some dependency. You go to pip install, it tells you you can't pip install. You go to sudo pip install, it tells you can't sudo pip install, something like that. Maybe you just want to use a version of Python's interpreter that doesn't align with your system's default, and only for that project without changing your default, of course. Or maybe you don't want to have a package that you're only using for a single project in your environment. I personally find this tool very handy for isolating dependencies for my projects. My first encounter with the tool was actually through a recommendation of one of my superiors, who, in all of his wisdom and knowledge, wanted me to use Python 3.11 rather than Python 3.9, which was the default on the system at the time. So, without further ado, let's take a look at the tool. I set up in VS Code a little demo environment where we will be wanting to get Jinja 2. If you don't know what Jinja is, it's a templating language that is amazing, in my opinion. I'm not going to go much into it now. If you want to see it at some point, please leave it in the comments if you want to see Jinja. I think it's a great tool, but I think it's out of the scope of this video. But regardless, we want it for this project. We'll go by this line by line, but first, just some pointers here. We are working in a git bash environment because I like Linux syntax, and I'm unfortunately working on a Windows system right now. Not that I have anything against Windows, but never taken the time to really get familiar with its command system. So we are working, as you can see down here, in Python 3.13. We do not have Jinja 2 installed, as you can see by my little syntax highlighter telling me Jinja 2 is not accessed. Import Jinja 2 cannot be resolved. For those of you that don't know, that's because Jinja is not there. So, let's double check that we don't have Jinja. So, we're going to do a check. We're going to do pip list, and we'll grep for Jinja. Not Jinja, Jinja. Jinja. There we go. As we can see, there is no Jinja. So, we need to make a virtual environment because we only want to use Jinja for this product. It's really simple. All you'll have to do is type Python, then type your version. So, if I wanted a 3.13 Python environment, I would type Python 3.13. We're not going to worry about it for this introduction. We're just going to use Python and use our default. So, Python, the M flag for your modules, and Venv. As I'm sure you can surmise, Venv is short for virtual environment. Anyway, that's the dub for the tool. And then following Venv, you will have your path to your virtual environment. Now, there are two naming conventions for this, usually. You can name your virtual environment Venv, or people like to name it .venv, making it a hidden folder that you can't normally see from your GUI. We're going to use Venv because I like having it there and making sure it's there. Now, you can do a different path than the current working directory, but we're going to keep it in the current working directory for the purpose of this video. So, we type Python m venv, enter. It'll pause, it'll do its thing. As you can see up here, it has created the virtual environment folder. What it's doing currently is it's creating all of the files needed within it. So we'll just wait, twiddle our thumbs. Shouldn't take long. There we go. It has finished executing. If we take a look in our virtual environment folder, we will have all of these different folders. Now, what we want in particular is under scripts in this case, we want our we want to run activate, our activate script. That'll launch the virtual environment and allow us to work with it. Now, some to keep in mind, it's different for depending on the system you're running on. If you're running a virtual environment in a Unix system like Linux or Mac OS, you would type something similar to source venv bin activate. I hope you can see the irony in this example here. If you look at our folder, we do not have a bin folder. It's in scripts. That's a quirk of Windows. So it'll be under scripts. It's the same thing because we're working in bash. Now, if we were not working in bash, it would be different. I highly encourage you to look at the documentation, which is linked in the description, to get a better idea depending on your use case. So, run source venv and our activate, and we can see in these parentheses here, this is our indicator that we are in our virtual environment. So, if I was to do run Python version, we're in Python 3.13 in our virtual environment. So, our virtual environment loaded. We still don't have Jinja installed. We really want Jinja on the system. Not on the system, my bad. Our virtual environment. So, it's really simple to install a package into your virtual environment. You would do it the same way you would normally. So, run pip install Jinja2. That will now install Jinja into our virtual environment. It is successfully installed. Now, you might notice up here in our little syntax highlighter that it still says we don't have Jinja. However, if we run pip list grep Jinja, it returns nothing. Jinja2. Pip list. Not piplet. We all know piplet isn't anything. Pip list. That's why, because I got used to the syntax up here. Jinja is weird in that its import statement is different from its package name. But as we can see, if we do our pip list, we have Jinja2 installed. So why isn't it showing up here? That's a quirk of VS Code. Currently, our environment that we're looking at in VS Code is under programs, Python, Python 3.13, Python exe. We want it to be in our virtual environment, which is listed here, recommended. So now we change that in VS Code, and as we can see, our syntax highlighter isn't mad at us anymore. We now have Jinja2. So, just a quick review. You run Python venv to create your virtual environment. Pip install all your packages. You could also do this with a requirements file. Now, if you ever wanted to leave your virtual environment, as we all would, I'm sure, all you do is while you're inside your environment, you just type deactivate, and now you're out of your virtual environment. Now, I would not recommend putting a virtual environment in your Git repository. It could be extremely large, and it's on a system-by-system basis. So I would leave it up to the user, or the other thing I would recommend is doing it in a script. That's one of the cool things that I appreciate about this, and bash scripting in general is that if you can do it in the command line, you can automate it. So, hopefully, this provided some insight for those of you who are looking, and I look forward to doing more of these videos. Please leave a like and leave a comment below on what you would want to see me do. I have a lot of ideas, and I'm sure, and a lot of other things, but I will be glad to move them aside for other topics. Part of this is me learning, part of this is you learning. I appreciate your time, and you all have a wonderful day. I will see you next time. Bye bye.